All right, here we go. Another episode of Dathlete Daily. This is episode 6, and in this episode, we're going to be kind of piggybacking off of the last episode here and talking about the vision uh, and what it is that you want in life. And I feel like a big major mistake that a lot of guys make is they really have no clue what it is they want. They set these outcomes of, oh, I want to get ripped, I want to get six pack abs, I want to do this, I want to do that, and that's the gist of it. That's like the surface level outcome, right? But they fail to really dig below the surface, and when you dig below the surface and you get very very specific, you can get very very clear on what needs to be done, and more importantly, like who you need to become at that point. And so yesterday talked a lot about purpose, and what goes hand in hand with purpose is really, how you need to be selfish when it comes to your purpose. Because when you're selfish, obviously you need to be taking care of yourself, number one. But then it's like, why are you taking care of yourself? To do what? And in my case, it's to be my best, so I can show up as my best for my family, right? And when we start to look at the vision, and this all goes along with the MVP, right? So what we have inside the Forge Father, we call it the MVP, the mission, vision, purpose, right? So you get that purpose laid out. It's like, why am I doing what I'm doing here? Like, what's the big driving factor behind that? And so when we start to look at the vision is really, it's the what. It's the what do you want? And like I mentioned, a lot of the dads that I have conversations with when we initially speak, like they have no idea what they want, and that's totally fine. That's totally fine. And you never get to a certain point in life where it's like, I know exactly what I want, and that's it. Like, it changes over the course of time, right? And so when I say vision, I mean pretty much everything. Like, don't just look at yourself and the outcomes that you want with your physical body. Like, that's a lot of times for guys, that's where they stop. It's like, I want six pack abs, I don't want this dad bod anymore, I want to get rid of the weight, and I want to look a certain way in the mirror. But that's like the physical results, right? Like, let's dig a little bit deeper. Let's look at the physical, I guess, attributes or your performance metrics. That's something that I ask my dads inside the Forge Fathers. Like, let's dig in deep. Like, what does your athletic ability look like? Like, how much weight do you want to lift in certain lifts? How fast do you want to run a mile? How fast do you want to run a 5K? How fast do you want to row a 2K? Right? And it could go as far as you want to push it. Like, how heavy do you deadlift? How many pull-ups can you do back to back to back? How many push-ups can you do in 2 minutes? Different things like that. Now you start to get clear on what it is that you want. But that is not the end of it. And so when we look back at the 4 roles inside of the Forge Father, it's being a dad, being a husband, being a producer, being an athlete. Athlete's only one of those roles. And so when we're looking at vision, it doesn't stop with just the physical attributes. Like, knowing you're going to chase those physical attributes, those physical outcomes, it's going to put you in a better position to fulfill those other roles. So thinking about it like this, like getting yourself into better shape, better health, better athlete overall, like you're going to show up with more energy. You're going to show up with, more confidence, so you can be better as a dad. You're going to have that energy to just keep going, be present with your kids. You can have that energy and that focus to show up and be present with your wife. You can have that extra bit of energy to be more productive as a producer, as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, right? And so when we look at these other 3 roles, something that's very, very important is to include those 3 roles into your vision. So it's like, what does life look like for you? If you were to paint the perfect day for yourself, it's like, what time do you wake up in the morning? What do you do when you wake up? Like, what does the rest of the day look like? Like, what do you do for a profession? Like, if you're one of those guys out there that hates his job, despises it, complains about it, then change it. Rewrite the vision that you want for yourself, or reorganize the vision that you want for yourself. Is that a part of your perfect day? And so you start to ask yourself these questions, and you start to really dig in and get clear on this vision that you want for yourself. What does that look like for you? So, like, when it comes to your profession, like, what do you do? How much money do you make? Like, what does your bank account say? That needs to be a part of your vision. Like, how do you operate on a day-to-day basis? Like, how's the relationship between you and your wife, right? Like, how's that look intimately, right? Like, what about your kids? How does that relationship look? How many kids do you have, right? What types of things do you guys do? Do you go on vacations? Do you do this and that? It's all a part of your vision. And you need to include it in your vision, because if you don't, it's going to be very, very unclear. And that's when you're kind of floating around, just kind of, checking the boxes. Because when we start to talk about the mission, that's a part of the MVP here, the mission, vision, purpose. It's like, then when you have a very, very clear vision, now you know what you need to do from a mission standpoint side of things. You kind of reverse engineer everything. And so when you get very, very clear with your vision, there's these certain outcomes that you want to achieve with this vision. Now you start to put the pieces together. You start to lay the steps out. It's like, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to do. This is what I need to do. Right? So just sharing, example for myself, like, shit, if we go years and years back, before I even had a gym, it was like, with me not even knowing it, like, I didn't know what I didn't know back then, right? But in a way, I was visualizing. Like, I remember I wrote it down on a piece of paper, right? This is what I want. I want a gym. I want to train these types of people, this and this and this and this. I laid it out and essentially just started taking the actions necessary to achieve that outcome. And I was very, very clear on what I wanted. I wanted this type of gym. This is the type of workouts that we're going to do. These are the type of people that I'm going to work with. Fast forward to a couple years back, making it to the CrossFit Games back in 2018. I remember very, very clearly, like, I had not, up to that point, I had not gotten very, very, very clear with my vision up to that point and saying, I want to make it to the CrossFit Games. It was always kind of like a thought. But I remember this day in my basement in our old house, one of the walls we painted it with chalkboard paint. And so I used it kind of as a chalkboard to write down my workouts and whatnot. I remember finishing a workout, and it was early 2017, like before the CrossFit Open was going to start. And I knew I was coming up on 35, right? And so I wrote up on the wall, I said, 2018 goals, make it to the CrossFit Games. I want to be the top 10 in the world. That was my goal. That was my vision. And I remember having the conversation with my wife. I said, hey, this is my vision. This is what I want to accomplish. And having that conversation with her, I felt it was very, very important. And this is a completely different topic that we could go in here. But, letting her know about my vision and what I wanted to set out to achieve, we kind of had an agreement, so to speak. Like, it was going to take time. It was going to take effort. Like, getting very, very clear on that vision helped prepare me for what was about to come. Like, help me set the right expectations, because I think that's another thing where a lot of guys drop the ball is they set these outcomes, they set these half-ass visions for themselves. It's like, I want to look like fucking 300 Spartan shredded, right? And that's their vision. But they forget to kind of reverse engineer that and come to grips with like who they're going to have to become to achieve that goal. The types of things that they're going to have to do on a day-to-day basis, action-wise, to accomplish that goal. And so when they set out for that vision, they have the wrong expectations. And so they go into things thinking it's going to be easy, think it's going to be simple, and they get thrown off track. And long story short, they go in this endless cycle of starting and stopping. And part of that is because they haven't dug deep enough with their vision. In addition to that, they haven't connected that to their purpose. And so it's throwing the whole mission off, right? And so either way, my main point in this episode is just getting very, very clear with your vision. And so asking questions, getting deeper, and just looking at all different areas of your life. And if we're to put main categories on it, again, it resonates around these 4 roles, right? Husband, dad, producer, athlete. What does your life look like in all of those areas? Not only that, don't just set, generic visions. Like, these visions that you have for yourself, they should be measurable in some way, shape, or form. I guess so. Then if you hit this vision or not. And obviously, getting to those specific visions that you have to yourself are going to have a lot of, positive benefits with it, right? More confidence. How do we really measure confidence? How do we measure happiness, right? You don't. But just accomplishing XYZ result outcome, maybe that will bring you happiness. But again, at the end of the day, that's all choice and a different conversation. But for now, that's where we'll close off in this episode. So if you've been struggling with, staying on the path, you're finding yourself in that start and stop, cycle, you get motivated and you're driven. And so you start attacking these outcomes, but then boom, you get knocked off track and you quit. Consider that, number one, you don't have a deep rooted purpose. And then number 2, you're not very, very clear on your vision. So you need to start getting very, very clear on that vision. And then that's where the hard part comes in. And you just got to become a completely different individual at that point in time. one who doesn't quit, who doesn't fucking accept mediocrity or average, and just does what he needs to do to move himself forward. So outside of that, if you're following along with this, feel free, drop a comment, tag Dathlete Daily, share this, drop thoughts, comments if you have them. If you have things that you want me to talk about, feel free to drop those in the comments as well. But we'll continue on this journey with another episode tomorrow. But outside of that, if you feel like you want some extra guidance with this stuff, feel free to reach out, start a conversation. We'll go from there. But until then, continue to put in the work and earn it.